Welcome to the first in the series of training videos for the 27K1 ROC Management System. Let's get started. Here you can see we've got the interface for the Getting Started page. You can see the company name at the top there, the logo, but let's show you how we've put that in place. Okay, so start with the company details. We're going to click on the company details and show you how that works. Okay, so first of all, get your logo, start uploading your logo. That personalizes the app to your company. Then we put in our company name, our website, our first line of address, second line of address, city, your zip or postal code, and then selecting from the drop down the relevant country. Okay, unless you change your URL or your address, those details stay constant and will be put into every AOC and report of compliance that you complete. Next, we go and start putting our assessor details in. So here we go, click on the assessor button and away you go. Assessor name, there's three assessor types, QSA, Associate QSA and Quality Assurance QA. So we put in their name, select the type of assessor, put in their phone number, put in their email, put in their certificate number, and put in their credentials. Then every time that this particular QSA is assigned to an assessment, those details are automatically inputted into the ROC template. Now we're going to put the next one, which is an Associate QSA. Obviously needs a mentor, so we select from the QSA list, put in their telephone number and their email. Okay, having done that, we can then put in a QA. If you've got a QSA who also does a QA, what they have to do then is create two roles, one for the QSA role and one for the QA role. Okay, having done that, you'll do one of those for each of your assessor roles. You can then move on to putting in your subcontractors. So if you do use subcontractors, this is very helpful because you can put all their details once. If you don't, what the app will do is just automatically mark 1.5 in the ROC template as not applicable. So let's see how that works. Okay, name of the subcontracting company. Start filling in their details, just filling in the boxes, company name, company website, line 1 address, line 2 address, city, their zip code, selecting the country from the drop down list, name of the contact person, their job title, their telephone number, and their email. You save that. Having saved the details of the company, you can then assign the QSA or the QA or the associate QSA against that particular subcontractor using the little toggle switch, which then relates to 1.5 in the ROC template. So same as before, putting in the assessor's details. And what this allows you to do is differentiate between your assessors and any subcontracted assessors. There you go, simple as that. Having done that, we can then move on to our third parties. Now, the concept we've got is using a master list of third parties, whereby if you've got a number of entities showing the same third parties, rather than having to fill in their details every time you do an assessment, you can just choose the third parties and assign them to your entities. So let's see how that works. Okay, adding my third party, start with the company name. We then start putting in their website, line 1 of address, line 2 of address, their city, their postal code or zip code, and then selecting the country from the drop down. Let's do that a few times just so you can see different types of third parties. So a very simple process. There you go, same again, putting in their address details, their city, zip or postal code, selecting from their country, great, let's add one more for good measure. So, as you can see, very easy. You do all the legwork now, and then you don't have to repeat this on every one of your assessments. In with the city, in with the zip code, choose the country, okay, and then we can move on. Now we're going to start putting our entities in. If you've got 100 entities to assess, you can then start putting those into here. So just literally click on the little icon for the entity and start adding. It's very straightforward. What's the name of the company? Start putting in the details. Anybody who's familiar with the ROC template will see this interface looking very familiar. So, and it puts this automatically into the ROC template. So you do it at the outset when you're onboarding your customers, and then you don't have to repeat it either in subsequent years or in your first year. Okay, put in the contact number, contact email address, and you would repeat that for everyone that you need to do as part of your assessment. So we shall move on. Okay, having put all the static information in, we can then move on to part 2 of the assessment. So this is where you can start using the tool to streamline some of the work. So by adding some QSA response libraries, you can define how the likes of an SAQ eligibility, those non-SAQ requirements can be populated, the future dated requirements, the multi-tenant service provider when you're not assessing a multi-tenant, or the service provider only requirements where you're only assessing a merchant. So let's see how that works. First of all, we need to know the rules. So we've created the response library to align with the ROC instructions. So there's just a little refresher for you. Just helps you follow these rules. How you do that is click on the QSA response library and then start putting in. You can put them in individually or you can copy from Excel. So I'll just put some gobbledygook in, and then if you want to do it from Excel, choose the right Excel spreadsheet, and then you can just literally copy from those spreadsheets and put the information straight in. So that's the multi-tenant. Here's the SAQ eligibility. And we're going to put the best practice in. If you're assessing a merchant or a service provider that doesn't use POI devices, those 9.5 can be automatically populated. And you'll see the green text where it gives you a tip. If you use square brackets, capital E entity, puts the name of the company that you're assessing into the narrative response. And what it does is it randomly generates. The more responses you can put in, the more it will randomize. So if you're doing a physical storage provider and there's 200 plus requirements that don't apply, they're not going to be tested, the more you can put in, the more it will put in a justification of why it's not tested. And then finally, the prioritized approach. And later in these training series, you'll see these being applied automatically, and you'll see how that generates and fills out all those not applicable responses or the not tested responses. And the final piece of admin to do before you can start your assessment is the default evidence types. We've gone through and we've reviewed these and categorized them, but you may want to go through and just validate that you're happy with the reporting instruction default evidence types. Okay. That then shows you the setting up. So the next thing we're going to do is actually move into setting up an assessment, whereby you can start setting up the entities against the type of entity they are. It then starts to apply some logic, so you can start to see some of the automated responses being applied. Look forward to the next installment.